Thanks, man. Here we go. You don't know who that is. Nayla, do you have any questions? You don't have to. Okay. What? I know you just want to ask a question to get a point, right? Yeah, I don't want to give her any points because she didn't have any questions. Maybe this isn't going to work today. I know, it just goes straight to you, right? Emma, questions? No? All right, Sophie, take it away. 4, 7, and 24. Okay. Anybody? Yeah, thanks. Anybody know what Neil did wrong? Wait, you guys all did this problem. Nobody asked for help on it. The -3 is extraneous, yeah. Because if you plug the -3 back into the original equation, you'd have a -3 right there. And you can't take a square root of a number and get a negative answer. So, okay. So remember when you're doing these things to, yeah, yes, you can. To check your work when you're done. Which one next? 7. Okay. How do you get rid of the cube root? You have to cube both sides. Okay. So if I cube the left-hand side, the cube root and the cube cancel, and give me 5x. Did anybody do this and figure out what 25 cubed is? The final answer or the 25 cubed answer? Okay, do that again. Thanks. Okay, so if you cube both sides, on the left, the cube and the cube root cancel, leave you with 5x. On the right, 25 cubed is 15,625. And then to solve for x, you just divide by 5. So x equals 3, 1, 2, 5. Well, I mean, yeah. Okay. Okay, 24. What do you think you should do first? Okay, I got to get rid of the 25 though first. Oh. Gotcha. Okay, so yes, ma'am, it sure would. All right, and then this befuddled some people. If you have the negative on both sides, we don't really like that very much. How do you get rid of it? Yeah, make them both positive. Divide by -1, multiply by -1, whatever. It's just 4th root of x equals 3. So now if I 4th power both sides, then I get 8. X equals 80. Ooh. Yep. Okay, anything else? Yeah. 30 dose. 30B. What's her name? Sophie. And you wanted 3 points? 32. What do I do, Bugaloo? Okay. Okay, and then we have to throw out negative 8 because it can't be the answer to a square root thingy. So my only answer is 7. Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay, I'll come around and grab those. All right, so we're going to add a couple things onto what we learned yesterday. Again, the thing that I mentioned at the beginning of class yesterday is the most important thing. Before we do anything with any of the exponents, we need to make sure we get that thing all by itself. This first example that we're going to do, you don't have to do any of that because the thing is already by itself. What's a little bit perhaps confusing is now it's not like the square root or the cube root or the fourth root. It's the 5/2 root. Yeah, that's what I thought too. So what power can I raise both sides to get rid of the exponent? 2 over 5. Good, because when you raise a power to a power, you multiply them together. So if I multiply 5/2 times 2/5, everything cancels, and then that's gone. So then I also have to raise the right-hand side to the 2/5 power also. So what am I left with on the left side of the equation? So x squared plus 5x plus 5, because the exponents cancel. What is 1 to the 2/5? 1. 1 to any power is just 1. Okay? All right, and so now we're back on what should be fairly solid ground. How do I solve from here? Subtract 1 from both sides, so I get x squared plus 5x plus 4 equals, 0. What do I do with that? Factor that bad boy. What does it factor into? X plus 1 and x plus 4, which means my answers are x equals -1 and -4. But of course, whoops, sorry. Sorry, it's on at lunch. But of course, you want to check your answers, right? So if I plug -1 in here for x, I get 1 minus 5 plus 5, which is just 1. And 1 to the 5/2 is 1, so -1 works. Yay! If I plug -4 in there, then I get 16 minus 20 plus 5, which is also 1. And then 1 to the 5/2 equals 1. So, oh, happy day. They both work. Okay? All right, so that's the main concept is that if you have an exponent that's different than just a cube root or a square root or a fourth root or something like that, you have to raise it to the reciprocal power. Let's try a fun one now that has variables on both sides. What do you want to do with this one? Anyone? I'm sorry, what? Yeah, let's go ahead and raise both sides to the 2/3 power, because at least we'll get rid of the 3/2 on the left, right? Because x plus 18 to the 3/2 to the 2/3 cancels and just gives me x plus 18. What happens on the right-hand side when I raise that to the 2/3 power? The 3's cancel, so it's 2, which isn't quite as much fun as having it just be 1, but we can deal with that. Okay? We can figure out what x minus 2 squared is by just foiling it. What do you get when you FOIL x minus 2 squared? X squared. Go on. Plus 4. Yeah. So be like Sophie. Remember the trick. This number squared. Multiply the two things together and double it, and then the last number squared. Okay? Okay, where do I go from here? Subtract the x and the 18. We all are wise enough now we can do both of those at the same time. So 0 equals negative, or sorry, just x squared minus 5x minus 14. And now, x minus 7, x plus 2. So my two possible answers are 7 or negative 2. All right, let's check those bad boys out. So if I plug 7 into here, 7 plus 18 is 25. Square root of 25 is 5, and then 5 to the third is 125. If I plug 7 into here, 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 to the third is 125. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. What about if I plug negative 2 into here? 16. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 to the third is 64. Good. If I plug negative 2 into this one, though, negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4, and negative 4 to the third is negative 64. So this one doesn't work. So our only answer is x equals 7. Okay? Kind of seems like it. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's let y'all take a stab at it your own self. This one I don't gusta, so don't do that one. But will you try that first one on your own? S'il vous please. Okay, Levi, what's the first step? Okay, good. So the first thing to do is add 14 to both sides. So that changes that to an 8. So that makes that considerably easier when we do the next step, which is what, Aubrey? Okay, good. Put the whole thing to the power of 2/3. So the 3/2 and the 2/3 cancel, and leaving with x squared minus 3x minus 6. Now I know y'all are pretty good about putting these exponents into your calculator. Do you know why 8 to the 2/3 is 4? Yes. Good. Cube root of 8 is 2, and then 2 to the second power is 4. Awesome possum. Make sure you know what your calculator is doing, or else it'll take over the world. Shaylin, what now? Okay. And then you do the thing, and when you do the thing, what do you get? Two numbers that multiply together to be negative 10 and add to be negative 3. One of them is going to be a negative, and one's going to be a positive. The bigger one has to be negative. Negative 5 and 2. Okay. And then, Trevor, what are my two answers? Okay, did anybody check those? Yeah, do they both work? No, negative 2 doesn't. This would be 4, 2, 8. Oh, I think negative 2 does. Oh. Negative 2 does not work? What is negative 2 squared? 4. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6 minus 6 to the 3 halves. So that's 4 to the 3 halves, which is 8. And 8 minus 4 is negative 6. So I feel like negative 2 works. Okay. Does 5 work? Yeah. 25 minus 15 minus 6 is 4. Same thing. Yep. So in this case, strange but true, they both work. All right. Okay, so that's the basics. Now I'm going to throw something at you that you're really going to love. You're really going to love it. Yeah. Oh, I know that you are. So I'm not going to be like dissuaded by your feelings. How about if we solve an equation with 2 square roots? Now, this is a little bit on the wacky side. So these will more likely than not be extra credit on tomorrow's quiz and on the test that we have in the future. So I don't want you to freak out if you get lost as we go through this or whatever. Okay? All right, so our first step this time, just like our other first step, is to get the square root by itself. There's 2 square roots, though, this time. So we have to decide which one we want to get by itself. Do you want to get the square root of x plus 3 by itself or the square root of 2x by itself? Okay, let's get the square root of x plus 3 by itself. Good call, Levi. So I'm going to add the square root of 2x to both sides. So that means the negative square root of 2x and the positive square root of 2x both cancel each other out. So that gives me square root of x plus 9 equals 3 plus the square root of 2x. Okay? All right, so then what do I do now that I have my square root isolated? That's right. That's, yeah, not scary at all. So if I take the square root of x plus 9 and I square it, the square root and the square root cancel and I'm left with x plus 9. This is not for the faint of heart, but we can do it. It's still the same pattern. You take the first number and do what with it? Square it, so that's 9. Then you take those 2 numbers and multiply them by each other. What's 3 times the square root of 2x? 3 times the square root of 2x, but we have to double it because there'll be an outside and an inside if we were to FOIL. So that's actually going to be 6 times the square root of 2x. And then I square the last number in the parentheses. What's the square root of 2x squared? 2x. So guess what? Yeah, we have to get the square root by itself again and then square the whole thing again. All right? So conveniently, the 9's cancel. So if I subtract 2x from both sides, I get negative x equals 6 times the square root of 2x. Are we doing okay so far? Well, I subtracted 2x from over here. So x minus 2x, let me show my work. Those cancel. X minus 2x is negative x. So negative x equals 6 times the square root of 2x. I could square both sides right now, but I sort of have told you guys to get the square root all by itself first. So what do I do? Okay, good. So I'll divide both sides by 6, and those will cancel. So I get negative x over 6 equals the square root of 2x. Now what do? I'd square both sides. So remember that when I square the left side, that negative is going to go away, right? Because a negative times a negative is a positive. So on the left, I'm going to end up with x squared over 36. And then on the right, what is the square root of 2x squared? 2x. All right, so now finally, I'm back to like reality. How do I proceed from here? I could divide by 2, or I could multiply by 36. I'm going to multiply by 36 because that gets rid of the fraction, and I don't know me gusta fractions very much. So that means x squared equals 72x. Just like all the other ones, I have an x squared in my equation I'm trying to solve, so I'm going to get it equal to 0. So x squared minus 72x equals 0. This time, however, since I only have two terms, I don't have to go double bubble. I don't have to go two sets of parentheses. What can I factor out of x squared minus 72x? And x, good. So that will leave me with x times x minus 72. So my two answers are 0 and 72. Okay? Spoiler alert, 72 doesn't work, because if I plug 72 into the first square root, I get 81, and the square root of that is 9. If I plug 72 into the second one, I get 144, and the square root of that is 12. And sadly, 9 minus 12 is negative 3, not positive 3. So after all that work, the only thing that fits is dumb old 0. Yeah, it'd still be a 9 underneath there, and then the square root of 9 is 3. So yeah, so it still works. Okay? Okay, so those will be extra credit. All right, so tomorrow, since we finish the section, we'll do our usual review, and then we'll have a quiz. I'm going to be gone tomorrow. I'm going on a field trip with Mr. Waver and the science nerds. So that's true. Not all science nerds are going. That's true. And not everyone who's going is a science nerd. And there's nothing wrong with being a nerd. So Isa, if you're out there watching this video, there won't be a video for tomorrow because I'm going to be gone. But we'll talk to you again on Thursday.